So One Piece is the latest anime live-action adaptation made on Netflix, and let me just say, it was very, very hard for me to make a decision as to whether to say that this show was good or bad. I don't like staying in the middle, so I'm always picking good or bad, and it was very hard for me to pick on this show. For those of you who come and watch my videos, you guys know I wear a lot of anime merchandise, which shows I'm a pretty avid anime fan. So whenever I hear that an anime is getting a live-action adaptation, it always makes me cringe. Because with the history that anime is getting their live-action adaptations, they look really, horrible. And, first of all, Japan doesn't make some half-bad ones. They made a version of Death Note. It was way better than the garbage we got from Netflix that was made in the US. So, in Japan, they kind of take them more seriously. But when they're made here in America, it just makes the producers... I'm thinking the producers are just saying, wow, this was a big waste of money. So when I heard that One Piece was getting its live action, I was like, oh, good God. But also, I'm a guy who likes to give things an equal chance. See how it goes. So when I found out about the live action, I wanted to find out how many episodes it was going to be, who was playing the characters, and how long it was going to cover. And when I found out that it was going to cover 100 chapters from the East Blue arc to the Arlong Park arc, I was like, wow, that's a lot of ground to cover in only 8 episodes. Because for those of you who aren't anime fans, the One Piece universe is enormous. And 8 episodes in the anime, that actually translates to maybe around 70 episodes. It would take 70 episodes to get from where this live-action adaptation got to. So to people who probably haven't watched the anime or read any of the manga, this is actually a pretty good show. But I have, and so, there were some things that I would say I didn't like, or things that I say that, oh, this actually kind of worked here. Because, I knew things were going to be left out, and things that weren't going to be covered here and there in the show. But as long as it gave us a solid show, as solid as it can be to the source material, then I was okay with it. I'm sure there were a lot of people out there thinking oh, this show is about Monkey D Luffy wanting to be king of the pirates, so the whole show's just going to focus on him. Everybody's just going to be on the bench. That's not how One Piece is at all. Every character in One Piece has their own purpose on the Straw Hat crew, which is one thing I was happy about with this show, that the character development was done so well. Yes, Monkey D. Luffy is our main character. Yes, he wants to become king of the pirates, but every other member of his crew also has a dream of their own, and Luffy is more than willing to do anything he can to help them make their dreams come true, just as much as they're willing to help him make his dream come true. So, that was one good thing about this One Piece live action that I liked. You could tell by each episode what character we were going to be focusing on. My favorite character, without a doubt, had to be Zoro. He was such a badass in this show. I am kind of disappointed we didn't get a lot of his idiocracy that we usually get in the anime. Because, he's also supposed to be a big idiot. But overall, Zoro, in my opinion, was the best character. And then after that, it was probably Luffy. But the one who had the best story, without a doubt, had to be Nami. It was a very emotional story and a lot of emotional scenes done there. Though I was kind of already expecting that because I've seen this show before and I know how the story goes. But if you haven't seen it, you'll understand what I mean when I say very emotional. And other than those three, Usopp, I've never really liked Usopp in the anime, and I also don't like him here. He doesn't really change that much, but that's more of a personal preference for me. And also Sanji was a big letdown. He's supposed to be the ladies' man, and we don't really get that much from him other than when he's talking to Nami, but he's supposed to be a ladies' man to every girl he meets. Another thing that was done really well, of course, was the backstories, because at first you're thinking oh, these characters are, oh, why are they like this? But you come to learn how they got the way they are and why they have these dreams through their backstories, which was one of the main points of the show, and also the build-up of these characters in the story. You would think that that's what when they're making these anime live-action adaptations, that the main point was to find the key points of the story and then kind of turn that into a show. But a lot of them do it wrong. They don't really capture the main points, or they're trying too hard to kind of like make the anime pop out into a 3D live action show. And I mean, One Piece does that too. I mean, they like pop out, right? Like they're popping right out of the comics. Every character really looks spot on to the way they should in the anime and manga. But along with the great story and character development, along with all these set pieces that they made that looked truly phenomenal, it just made the show a lot more enjoyable to watch. We're living in a day and age when it comes to movies, like the best way to kind of like get the quickest result to make something that looks unrealistic is basically just to CGI it. And I am so glad they didn't do that with One Piece. Because, I mean, they had these great set pieces that they built, as well as the amazing prosthetics that we got for the fishmen. I mean, the fishmen looked really great for how they're supposed to look in the anime. Of course, some of them look kind of cheesy in a way, but they still looked very well. Of course, some of the CGI was done, like with Luffy's gum gun powers, and as well as Buggy's chop powers as well, was all supposed to be CGI, but they did it real well. And I was kind of nervous about those two things, because I was like, how is this going to look when they're fighting? Because, I mean, that may look way too cheesy. But, I mean, it did in a way, but it still looked very good. There are a few things in here that I wish they could have probably done better. Like, first of all, I mean, like, of course, I was telling you how the story was good, but, I mean, the One Piece story goes so much in depth into our characters that we pretty much, like, end up knowing everything about them by the time they join the crew. With the way this live action worked, we were cutting back to the Straw Hats and the Marines, so we didn't get that depth that we would usually get in this anime, as we would get in the anime, like we did in this live action. So, I mean, that there was, like, something that, I mean, I wish we could have gotten more of, but we didn't. But, of course, if they make another season, then maybe we can get more depth with other characters as they bring them on, too. Another thing I wish they would have done differently was where the show stopped. The show stops after Arlong Park. Now, actually, I wish they would have stopped it what happens after Arlong Park, the arc after, which is technically called Logtown. I'm not going to go into depth because I really don't want to spoil this for anyone who hasn't watched the live action, or has watched the live action and is planning to get into like watching the anime, like, oh my god, what happened after this? I just feel like that would have been a better stopping point, because they're still currently on their way to the Grand Line, and there actually is one more arc that actually happens before they entered the Grand Line, and there's one more place they stop before they go to the Grand Line. So I just feel like the way that arc ends, it would have been a much better stopping point than stopping like just straight after leaving Arlong Park. Alright, well, that's about it and what I really got to say about this One Piece live action. I will say that this is one of the better live actions that they've done here, at least in the US. I mean, I think any US production company who's planning on making an anime live action can learn a lot from One Piece. Because, I mean, Japan's kind of got their groove already down. They're making live actions, and they're all pretty good as well. Though, I mean, I'm really hoping we get a second season, because this was a solid start for this live action. That's all I will say. The real question is, if they do make a second season, can they keep that momentum going? That's the real question. But, I mean, I'm already predicting what crew members are going to be joining the crew next. I already know a few characters that are going to be coming into the show just by the way it ended. Like I said, I don't want to go too in-depth because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who is trying to get into the anime. So, I mean, I'm not going to go that in-depth. Or, you know, Netflix may do its usual thing and just cancel the show altogether after this season. And sometimes that really pisses me off when they got a good show going and then they just cancel it altogether. But yeah, you guys, One Piece live action. I'd really like to hear your thoughts about it as well, both from the anime fans and the non-anime fans. What did you think of this show? Who was your favorite character? Do you think they did the show justice? And also a special question for those anime fans out there. If you guys are expecting a season 2, I'd really like to hear your thoughts of what you're expecting from season 2, as well as what characters you think are going to show up in season 2 as well. Also, please don't forget, if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, as well as you like my other videos. Don't forget to like them as well as hit that subscribe button and that notification bell as well. I'll see you guys next time.